and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing okay. So today's video is going to be quite a long one, I would say, so grab yourself a coffee or a cup of tea, sit down, relax and listen to this video. So it's going to be my labour and delivery story. For when I had Scarlett, it was like 3 years ago now, so it's a very long time ago, but I do like watching these videos on YouTube, and I thought that obviously everyone's story is different, so you might want to hear my version of events from what I can remember from 3 years ago. Yeah, so I'll just get straight into it. So Scarlett was due on the 5th of November 2014, and obviously it didn't come on a due date. So on the 11th of November I went to the midwife and had a stretch and sweep. I'm not going to go into detail to what that is. If you want to know, then obviously I'll tell you, but I'm sure I don't want to freak anyone out or anything like that, so obviously I'm not going to go into too much detail about what that is. So I was booked for I can't remember when I was booked for induction. I think it was like the 19th or something, to be induced with Scarlett, but obviously I had a stretch and sweep on the 11th, and I had this about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because all my midwife appointments were around 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, which is obviously ideal. And then obviously I can remember, you know, like if you ever had anything like that, my belly just hurt a little bit after, and then I always, like, if they were checking the baby's heartbeat or anything like that, it would, to me, it would give me a bit of a stomach ache, because obviously you feel bruised from the inside, getting prodded around your stomach and everything. So I thought, oh, my belly's just hurting from that. Fine. Then obviously the evening come, and I was getting a bit, well, I thought they were just like Braxton Hicks, because obviously getting prodded around, because they weren't painful. And I mean, like, it was literally just tightenings and things like that. So they were like, oh, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, obviously Braxton Hicks are like fake contractions, aren't they? But some Braxton Hicks hurt. Is that how you say it? But obviously these didn't hurt. They were just literally like tightenings, and then, so I didn't think of nothing of it. Again, I thought it's just because of the midwife doing what she had to do. So I could, you know, they obviously, like I said, they weren't painful, so I went to sleep. And then the next morning, so I went to sleep around, I think it was like midnight, but obviously I didn't sleep properly anyway, because I kept thinking, like, oh, could this be something? And if you've had previous children, then you would know, like, if you, any sign that you think you're going into labour, obviously you're more awake for and like aware of it. So I obviously went to sleep, didn't really get a decent night's sleep. I kept waking up thinking, but I obviously weren't in pain or anything like that. It was just because it was like tightenings and stuff, but it did not hurt one bit. And then the next morning, well, yeah, so the next morning, I got up to go to the loo. I think it was like 7. Yeah, it must be 7, because my dad just left to go to work, and obviously went to the loo. As soon as I sat on that toilet, ow, like, I don't know, I actually will, as I carry on the story, you will know I have a high pain threshold, but literally that's when all the pain started. It weren't as bad, like, the pain wasn't really bad, it was just like, obviously, like, period pain. And then I was like, oh, I've got a bit of bellyache, and I was like, oh no, it must be this. It's like, obviously, so the sweep has started my labour off. So I went my partner at the time, because I was living at my mum and dad's, my partner at the time obviously was in the bedroom, so I come back in, and Lacey said, like, you need to get up. And the cheeky bugger was like, why? What do I need to get up for? And I was like, why do you think? So obviously then he jumped straight out of bed, and then obviously my whole birth plan was for that my mum and my partner at the time was to come with me, and obviously my dad was going to drive us there. So obviously they were my 2 birthing partners. So obviously then I went downstairs and obviously got my mum up and said the same sort of thing, like, Mum, you need to go up. Oh yeah, 'cause my mum and dad slept downstairs at the time, because the bedroom, the smaller bedroom obviously would have been too small for mum and dad to stay in, but it was an ideal size for obviously Scarlett's room at the time. So when I woke them up, my mum up and things, and then obviously then my mum got up, we rang the what's it called, the labour, is it the labour ward? I can't even remember what it's called, it's that long ago. So I rang the labour ward, and by this point I was having, I was having contractions. So obviously, like I said, obviously we got up, and then we rang the labour ward, and then obviously you could tell I was having contractions at this point, but they again, they were painful, but they really felt like adult period pain. That was it. They weren't like excruciating or anything like that. So obviously I just like breathe through them. I didn't time the contractions or anything like that, obviously, because you do get into a bit of a panic. Like you obviously you make a bit of a plan, saying I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and when it comes down to it, you don't. So obviously I didn't time them, because I was more focusing about like actually like breathing and trying to see what the hospital had to say, etc, etc. So at this point, like obviously on the phone, then the lady started to time some of the contractions, and I can't actually remember how far apart she said they were, but she said if you want to like come in and get checked. So by this point my mum had rang my dad to basically say like, oh, she's in labour, you need to like come back and things like that. And obviously so whilst we were doing this, so wait, let me think, it's that long ago, I have to think. So then my obviously mum and my dad, and at this point my partner at the time was obviously getting his stuff ready. Obviously my hospital bag was packed, Scarlett's hospital bag packed. I had to obviously go upstairs and get like changed out my pyjama bottoms, and like I decided to put on tracky bottoms, flip flops, and I had a vest up on, because every time I was having like a contraction I was getting really, really hot. So I felt like I needed to go to the toilet, I felt like I was going to be sick, and I was hot. So it was all like a mix of like feelings, which obviously weren't obviously great. It's just the natural things your body will go through. So he was getting all his stuff together and obviously making sure that I was okay. I was fine, you know, I just get on. I'm one of these people, like, I really just get on with things. Nothing, I just put my head down and get on with it. You know, I'm not a whinge. I don't whinge or anything like that. And then obviously my dad come back, and then he obviously got lived to the hospital. And I was so glad that my mum come with me, because when we got, obviously this is a little side note, because when we got to the hospital, obviously then you have to get all your paperwork, because the hospital had it, all my records and stuff. So obviously then my mum was dealing with that while my partner was looking after me, which was obviously helpful. Anyway, so then my dad was driving us to the hospital, and I thought I was quite composed during labour, to be fair, because I wasn't, you know, like you see one born every minute and some people swear and like kick off and scream and stuff, but I didn't. I was literally, I sat in my back of my dad's car. I had like my head pretty much out the window because I was hot. It was tipping it down with rain and freezing because it was November, but I still had the window open and still had my vest up on, and I kept like clenching my hands like this and like pushing my hands into like the back of my dad, where you know where your seatbelt goes, like, so I was pushing myself up like this, like basically every time I had a contraction. So I was like breathing through it like and like pushing up at the same time, just because that's how I cope with it. Yeah, because I'm not a very like screaming, chatting person. I just don't do that. So anyway, we got to the hospital, and then I was like, they obviously got a wheelchair, and I was like, get me that wheelchair, and they pushed me obviously to the, is it triage bit where they like check you and everything. So we didn't have to wait long. I think I had to wait like 2 minutes, and then someone was in to check. Oh god, this bit is like a bit hazy, because you know obviously during the moment you can't remember all the little details. But anyway, they checked me, and then they realised I was 6 centimetres. Now I thought, considering, like, I thought labour was going to go on for absolutely forever, but considering like they weren't as bad, I got to the hospital and I was 6 centimetres, so I was like, okay, that's like quite, you know, okay, I suppose. because obviously I weren't swearing or anything. And then obviously when she checked me, she gave me a bit more of a sweet. Fine. And so then afterwards we were like, yeah, we'll get you down to the labour ward now, obviously because you're not going to be able to go home. Within, I'm trying to think, I think it was like a 5-minute walk, if that. And from leaving the triage to get into the labour ward, I felt like I needed to push. I'm trying to think of timings. So we must have got to the hospital about, I think it was like 8 in between 8 and 9. I don't know too much about times, but between 8 and 9 we must have got to the hospital anyway. And so we got to, obviously I felt like I need to push on the labour ward. And so she checked me again and she was like, you're about 9 centimetres. She was like, you're not quite ready yet, because she basically said if you push before you're ready, it'll make your cervix like swell and then it won't dilate properly or something along those lines. But at this point I was literally just using gas and air. But to be fair, I wasn't really using it. I was using, obviously now it's in like a little stick that you put in your mouth, isn't it? So at this point I was literally just using it to bite on, to like breathe, like, I don't know, when I'm in pain I clench up, I don't breathe properly, I suppose. I just clench up and like get through it. So I was doing that, as well as like pushing my hand still. This is like pushing my hand obviously into the bed, and like I was again like sort of clenching like that just to get through it. And then obviously she checked me again and she was like 10 centimetres. She also had to put, I can't remember what it's called, like Scarlett's heartbeat kept dropping and like going up and down, so obviously they had to put the little hooky thing that, you know, that hooks onto the baby's head and stuff to like check the heartbeat and stuff, which is fine. And then obviously she managed to get everyone to, like, people, you know, when you're in labour, you know when you're about to deliver the baby, because suddenly the room fills with loads of people. So I was a bit like, okay, this must be time then. But the thing is, what felt like 5 minutes was actually like an hour, because it goes so quick, and obviously because you're concentrating on what you're doing, you don't really pay attention to time. All I remember at this point was my mum had to go for a blood test, because the whole plan was that she was going to go and get a blood test done while I was in labour, because she thought I was going to be in labour for ages. So obviously she'd just come back from the blood test, as obviously all the other doctors and things were coming in. So obviously my mum was like obviously getting a bit panicked then. And then obviously I managed to push Scarlett out. I can't remember how long I was pushing for. I think it was like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that. But anyway, I had to have, oh my god, I'm not even going to be able to pronounce it now. I had to have is it epistomy? Is that the word? You know, when they yeah, so she gave me some help like that. Obviously I didn't have a proper birth plan, because I was like, just do what you need to do to get obviously my baby out safely, and help me like make sure me and her are safe during delivery, etc. So obviously then she was born. She gave me the injection in the leg. Oh, I don't even know what it's called now. I think it's the injection that helps your placenta come away, because obviously you've got to do all that stuff later. And to me that was like the worst bit, but I'll explain. So yeah, so obviously then Scarlett was out fine, breathing properly, everything. And then obviously the lady then came to get the placenta out and stitch me up. Well, it wasn't all that bloody case, was it? It was quite, this part, the actual delivery of Scarlett, was, I could do that again in a heartbeat. I really could. Labour and delivery, I will do that again fine. This second part was very traumatic for me, and I'll explain obviously why, but it was very traumatic for me, and it's one of the reasons why if I ever have another child I will be changing hospitals. But basically when it comes to time to get the placenta out, the lady that was doing it decided to tear the placenta in half, take half out and then leave the other half still in, and then they stitched me back, obviously stitched me back up. At this point, obviously, like, while she's trying to do that, I'm telling you, like, that was the more painfulest than the actual labour itself, labour and delivery itself, because I was like, you know. So obviously that bit hurt. Obviously, I was like, you need to stop doing that. Like, give me a minute, because like that hurts. And I literally felt like kicking her in the face, because she's like tugging and. Well, anyway. So obviously, because she didn't, like, obviously left half in and stitched me back up, I kept losing a lot of blood. I think I lost. I'm gonna say, like, it's either 3 litres or 3 pints. Can't be 3 pints. Might be 3 litres. So I lost this whole process. I lost 3 litres of blood with obviously having Scarlet. And basically they said, like, obviously they said they knew that the placenta was still in there, so they had to rush me to theatre to make sure that they got it all out. Which was quite scary, considering at this point I wasn't able to hold Scarlet anyway. Like, I obviously had a catheter in here, which I've still got these like little mark from. But at this point, obviously, I couldn't hold Scarlet, which was quite stressful for me, because I don't know what's going on. All I know is I'm like bleeding a lot, and I can't hold my daughter, which was like, ugh, quite annoying. Obviously they have to do what they have to do, but if that midwife didn't do something wrong in the first place, then obviously I would have been able to. But yeah, so I got taken to theatre. Bear in mind, whilst I was in labour, I was falling to sleep because of how tired I was, because I had a crap night's sleep the night before. And then I was like starving hungry, because I think Scarlet was born at 11:51, weighing 7 pounds 1 ounce at 11:51. On the 12th of November. So obviously I'm starving at this point, no breakfast, like nothing. And they were like, oh, you can't eat obviously now because you've got to go to theatre. So I'm like, oh, bloody starving. So obviously they took me down. I had to get dressed into a gown. Obviously they took me down, and then I had to just sit and have a spinal block. I will tell you what, those things are like miracles. I swear to God, even though I didn't think labour hurt, next time I'm going to get one, because you generally cannot feel anything from the waist down. And I was just like, they're amazing. Like, as pain relief goes, that is amazing. Yeah, so obviously, they obviously then put me into theatre to get the rest of the placenta out. But whilst doing this, obviously all the problems, all the tugging, I then had to have a balloon. I had obviously 2 catheters fitted. I think it was 2. There was one for like the blood, and then there's one for like obviously when you need to go to the toilet. And then she had to fit like a balloon in uterus, is that what it's called? A balloon in uterus, to make sure that uterus comes back together slowly. I think that's what why it was there. It was a long while ago. Yeah, so sort of to help my uterus and stuff. So obviously they did that. What I regret is that I wasn't, obviously, because of all the commotion and stuff, I wasn't allowed anyone to come down to theatre with me. Obviously I wanted people to look after Scarlet. Obviously my mum was to look after Scarlet, so I can just remember lying on the like theatre bed, obviously, and you've got all these like machines, everyone's obviously down that end. I was like, all these machines and everything beeping and going off, and obviously when your blood pressure is dropping, you start to shake. And to me, not knowing what was going to happen, I literally thought I was dying, you know, because the machines are beeping, you can see on the numbers going down, and it was like, you know, you're freezing cold and you're like, ugh, like that. It was like that, and I just kept, and I was like, I'm gonna go. I was like, I ain't gonna see my daughter, obviously. But so yeah, that was the traumatic side, because obviously I thought I was gonna die. Obviously newbie and all that, I don't know anything like that. And it turned out I had a postpartum hemorrhage. Is it postpartum? Yeah, postpartum hemorrhage, which is one of the reasons why I lost so much blood. So anyway, they stitched me up, got me back up to the bed. Again, I was still feeling like I was shaking, so I literally had blankets up to here to try and like raise my blood pressure a little, raise my blood temperature, pressure, whatever, a little bit. They also put these little like air boots on because I was bedridden then. I was going to be bedridden for at least 24 hours to make sure all these things that they did worked, and so I can recover properly. At this point I was in, so they moved me to a high dependency ward, the high dependency ward unit thing, and so obviously then I had the air boots to make sure that my blood pressure, the blood was still flowing between my legs. Obviously my mum's had history with DVT, deep vein thrombosis, where she could possibly get blood clots in their legs and things, so obviously they don't want that to happen to me. So obviously they gave the air boots, and they literally look like space boots, and it was like squeeze them. You know how when you get your blood pressure measured at doctors and they like put it around your arm and it squeezes? It was like that. It kept squeezing, you know, so it was quite relaxed actually. But obviously at this point, obviously Scarlett's dad could stay with me, and then yes, obviously then I got to hold her, and this must have been about 5 o'clock now. Yeah, 5 o'clock, after I stopped shaking everything. 5 o'clock was when I finally got to hold my child, like about 6 hours after having her. 5-6 hours after having her. And then, so obviously the midwives at the time obviously like brought stuff in, so obviously we can have something to eat. I'm trying to think, this is really hard to think. I've got like mind block because of it. I've got mind block. Yeah, so then they moved us to, like, this was like the room that I had Scarlett in, they put me back to, but obviously the beds wasn't cleaned up properly, the floor wasn't cleaned up properly. When I come back after theatre, my sister, my partner's mum was there, my mum and dad was there. And so my sister, as soon as she because she was pregnant with my nephew at the time, so as soon as she seen me, she just burst into tears, and obviously which made me cry. Obviously I didn't cry when I first had Scarlett because of everything else that was going on. Obviously seeing my sister cry, it's like we're twins, so it's like a connection, so obviously burst into tears. And then after obviously they all went, and then obviously I got moved to a cleaner room with no blood or anything anywhere. Yeah, I think obviously Scarlett's dad had to obviously stay with me because obviously I was bedridden, I could not get out of bed, so I missed the opportunity of changing her first nappy, giving her a first bottle, putting her in her first clothes, because obviously they had to do that first, because I obviously physically couldn't, which was quite sad. Like, ooh, lipstick on my jumper, which was a very sad time for me because I couldn't do it. And I'm one of these people, like, if I can't do something, it really, excuse my French, but pisses me off, because I like doing, I'm independent, I like doing things for myself. So then obviously when they put me, every time Scarlett needed to feed, I did not sleep properly at all, because obviously I was aware of the fact that I had a newborn there. I had to keep waking her dad, like obviously waking her dad up to make sure he gets up and feeds her, because then we had to get a midwife to get a bottle. Obviously we already had the like starter milk things, like obviously we already gave the ready-made milk to them, because I decided to bottle feed. And then let me think. Yeah, so I had to keep waking him up every time so he can go get a bottle to feed Scarlett and change her and stuff like that. And then obviously the next morning come. Right, let me remember. So at this point I'm still bedridden. I hadn't moved off this bed for a good few hours. I don't know how many hours exactly, but obviously a good few. What I didn't like was obviously it was literally like you were a show, because the next morning, obviously when all the doctors do their rounds, at this point there was like, I think there was like 4 doctors, and they all wanted to like have a look, and I was a bit like, I'm not on a display, you know, like I'd rather one of you have a look. But then this was like 3 times that was like in one day that they wanted to have a look. Obviously I understand they're probably just checking things out, but I was a bit like, I'm not a bloody display, you can't, you know. And at this point I was like, you're not coming near me, you know. But I was like, fine, have a look, you know. Yeah, that's really awkward to say, but I was just like, whatever, do what you have to do. And then I can't remember. Can't think. And then obviously my partner was still there, so obviously he went and got some breakfast and things. And then a lady come in. I don't know, can't remember why, but she was gonna take Scarlett for something like a test or a injection or something. And then someone, as she was, obviously I couldn't do anything, but as she was coming in, as she was going to take Scarlett out, another lady came in and said, no, that's the wrong baby. So I was just like, oh my god, as if you've just nearly done a test on my child or something. I can't remember exactly what it is, but they were going to do something on the wrong child. That's one of the reasons, again, why I want to change hospitals. So I was like, you're not paying the bloody attention, la la la. Obviously, then my partner obviously kept going out for cigarettes and things. So bear in mind, I was a first time mum, never ever fed a baby, never changed a baby, never like doing anything like that. They obviously, you sort of like know, don't you? You pick it up, you know how to feed a baby. You sort of like, it's not silly, it's like your natural instinct. So obviously I was doing that. Bear in mind I had my catheter still in. No, not catheter, cannula still in. So I had to obviously trying to like look after Scarlett and still do that whilst I'm sitting on this bed like that, because I can't do anything, I can't get up. So yeah, so that was all fine, I suppose, because obviously like none of the midwives show me like what to do. None of them you know, helped in any way. None of them did. So yeah, that was that day. And then it got to the bit where I was they were coming to take my balloon that I had fitted out. I was petrified. I was like, this is gonna hurt. I was like, I've just had a baby yesterday and this is gonna bloody hurt. But there was this one midwife, she had blonde hair and glasses, and she was like, it's not gonna hurt, don't worry. Cause obviously I was dosed up on pain relief, so you know, cause obviously what happened, I was dosed up on pain relief. I'll tell you what, liquid morphine, that's good stuff. It literally tastes like Calpol, and it really does the job. So obviously they took the balloon out. This midwife did not let go of my hand. She was like, do you want to hold my hand? And I was like, yes please. So she did not let go of my hand, and she obviously did that with another midwife. And yeah, it weren't as bad as what I thought it was going to be. And so obviously they took all the catheters, gotta get the names right, catheters out. Before they did all this though, actually I missed a point, before they did all this I had 2 blood transfusions. So I'm not allowed to donate blood or anything like that because I've had 2 blood transfusions. But obviously they're the things you sometimes have to do, aren't they? So I had 2 of them, which my partner at the time said it was horrible to watch me having blood put back into my arm, as he said. So yeah, so I had my cannula taken out, and it got to the point where I could get up if I wanted to. So then she was like, she was like, try get out of your bed. If you can't, if there's anything wrong, to obviously call the buzzer. Bear in mind, I felt like I was stuck to this bed. I could not get up, so I'm trying to get up, and I'm like, oh, can't do it, God. But anyway, so obviously my mum was there at the time, and then obviously Scarlett's dad. And so I actually managed to get up out of this bed, get some pyjamas on, because I was still in this gown. So I managed to get a bath, which my mum had to come in the bathroom with me, because obviously of how much blood I lost. They didn't want me to like pass out in the bathroom. So I managed to get a bath, everything like that. And get all cleaned up, which was so nice after, because I had like too much information probably, but I had like blood all over my arm still, and it was just, you know, I actually managed to have a bath, get some pyjamas on, and actually hold and feed my daughter myself with no like stuff in the way. I was up and walking a bit better. They decided to take me to the labour ward. Now, because I was high dependency, I was allowed to have, you know, one of the side rooms on the basis that if someone come in and needed it more, because there was a special care unit for the babies obviously, then I would have to move, which is completely fine. And I'm looking back now, I'm so glad I had that own room, because once we left, obviously then I found out Scarlett had a tag on her foot, so no one could take her. But I was just paranoid. You get paranoid about these sort of things. So yes, we got moved up to the labour ward. And at this point, obviously, Scarlett's dad couldn't stay with me. So then I was felt with the dread of having to do it all by myself, just after you've like gone through all that and like, you know, not being shown properly, don't know if you're doing it right and things like that. So I had to do it on my own. So obviously there was a few tears when he left, just because there was sheer panic because I didn't know. And the midwives weren't very helpful in the first place either, because we kept getting told one thing and another thing. So one minute it was like, oh yeah, he can stay. Next minute it was like, oh no, he can't stay. You know, so definitely miscommunication, definitely. So another reason why we'll not be going back to the hospital. So yeah, so obviously him and my mum left. He was staying at my mum and dad's house at the time, obviously, because they could give him a lift to and from the hospital when he needed. And then at this point I was having, I want to say antibiotics, I'm not sure, I think it might have been antibiotics or something, because I still had the cannula in at the time. So that was, I think it was, anyway, my fluid meant whatever was supposed to go in my arm was going in my arm. Don't even know what it's called, it's been ages. So then obviously in my own room, that was still there anyway, but I had to, oh my god, what's it called? You know, when you see films for hospitals and they have that little thing that, the little stand that they have to walk around with, because it's got the bag and everything. Basically like that. That is probably the silliest explanation of something, but yeah, that. But luckily, because I had my own room, luckily I had my own toilet, which was quite nice as well. But so obviously I had my own room with Scarlett, but at this point I had to walk out of the room to go and get the milk, obviously go to where the milk things were and kept to get Scarlett bottles. Not a problem, that's fine. The midwives decided, obviously I asked how often would she need a feed, and they were like every 3 hours. Don't feed before every 3 hours or something. So at this point, I think they left at 7, and it's about 11 now. And Scarlett, she had I think she had one feed, and she just wouldn't stop crying. She just wouldn't go to sleep. Like obviously, I on the hands down, I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. All no things like that. So yeah, so she wouldn't stop crying, things like that. So obviously she just wouldn't, like she would settle when I picked, like obviously when I was holding her and like rocking her, and she would settle. But then as I put her in the little cot thing that they give you, she would obviously wake up. So to me, looking back now, she wasn't like obviously full enough. But they were like, I'll just give her 3 ounces every 3 hours. And then another midwife come in to give her my own medication, and they were like, I'll just give her another feed if you know she's not settling. Just give her another feed. She might still be hungry. Gave her another feed. And at that point, I think she only took an ounce, and she still would not settle properly. And then I gave it another 2 hours, and I was like, you know, I'm not even going to listen to the midwives. I'm going to do it my way. And so it was like an hour passed, and then she woke up again. Well, I think it was like 45 minutes or something passed, and she woke up again. So then I thought, oh well, instead of giving her the oh my god, what's it called? Instead of giving her 3 millilitres, 3 mil, whatever it was, so I was like, I'll give her 4, you know, just to see. So then she took the 4, went back to took the 4, obviously, then I put her back, went back to sleep. I think it was for like another hour and a half, and then at then obviously I woke up again. So at this point the midwife kept coming in to give me my, well, she must have been about twice to give me the medication and paracetamol things that you need. So she come in and I said, look, I can't get to sleep properly. She every like half an hour, 45 minutes she's waking up. So basically they took, because like I said with my head conditions, if you watch my get to know me tag, obviously I have something wrong with my head where if I don't get enough sleep or anything like that, I can get a migraine, but it makes me act like I'm having a stroke. Straight to the point. It makes me act like I'm having a stroke, like my arms will go numb, can't speak, my legs go numb, and I didn't want to be at that, like I feel like I was useless at that point. So I said, like, basically I felt useless anyway, but I was like, can you like try and settle her for me? So they took her out and everything like that. I managed to get about an hour and a half sleep, and literally, well, I say sleep, I probably cried the whole of it because I felt like I was a failure. I was texting like, obviously, mum, like, oh my god, I'm a failure, I can't do this, you need to come back, I can't do it, just like say you sneaking, la la la, I can't do it. Obviously I was 20, so I'm a lot knowledgeable now. So yeah, so they took her out and then obviously brought her back. I got a little bit of sleep, and then I went and obviously went looking for her to come back, which was fine. Apparently she was good to go, and then she slept a little bit more, so obviously her having that little bit extra milk helped. And so obviously then she come back, and then I think she had one last feed, which was for obviously the 4 meals, and then obviously then slept. Then I think at this point it must have been about, I'm gonna say 5:30. So obviously me, you know, when you're like emotionally like drained and you're tired, it just doesn't help. Yeah, so then obviously, yeah, so it's about 5:30, and then obviously I gave her another feed, and then she went back to sleep, and then I managed to get sleep, and luckily she stayed asleep then for, I think it was like till 9 o'clock. Yeah, till 9 o'clock, till when her dad, obviously my partner at the time, come back at 9. So obviously then she was asleep, and then it was like he sort of took over a little bit so that I could get a little bit more sleep. No, I wasn't lazy, I enjoyed doing it. It was just difficult the first night with me because I thought the midwives didn't help at all, when I think they should have helped a little bit more than what they did, because they weren't coming in and helping me and showing me what to do, or I'll try this, you know. They just sort of left me to it, which I understand why they do that, but you know, for someone that's just come off a high dependency, then they should have like helped a little bit more. So yeah, so he come, and then I think at this point it was the day that I could go home. So obviously they were like, you need to get all your antibiotic medicine sort of thing in, make sure you go to the toilet, etc., and have something to eat. So obviously I'm all day, I'm holding my arm like this or something to try and get the antibiotics in a bit quicker. And then both point I could get Scarlett dressed myself, which was made me so happy to get her dressed myself, change her myself. You know, it was just, to know that you can do these things yourself made me feel so much better. And I think looking back, for when I have future children, I think I'm definitely going to be a bit more confident, where I wasn't confident to start off with. And then obviously, so when I managed to get dressed, everything, change her, feed her, but it weren't too bad then, because then my partner could always like watch her when I go and get the bottle, or he could go and get a bottle and I'll watch her. But because I had to have that and cannula still in with all the drip or whatever, that's what it's called, drip. I had to have the drip in. I couldn't go and take her to her like hearing tests, that, you know, the newborn tests that they do. So obviously my partner had to take her, which obviously all come back fine. And then I think the lady come round and said, you can go home, just get that last bit of your antibiotics and then you can go home, which was like a godsend. I could not wait to get out of that hospital and get home and sleep in my own bed. So yeah, a couple of hours later then, I think we had tea there. I think it was like a jack potato or something like that, and you know, little details. But and then obviously I texted my dad and said like I can go home. obviously so he brought the car seat up and then come and got me. So yeah, but so you had to take, what's it called, the tag that they had. Obviously, I had to get that all taken off, get all scarlet, like, is it discharged, what they say? Yeah, when you were allowed to leave. So I did that. I was literally, I felt like I could jump out of that hospital. I really did. I just hated it so much. Hate being in hospital. To me, I would have recovered better at home. I really would. Not like, because my support network was at home, but the midwives weren't very supportive. Apart from that one with the blonde hair and the glasses, the rest were just. So yes, we got to go home. What I would do differently though is I would have had, maybe if I didn't pack no dummies because I didn't want Scarlett to have a dummy. But then later on, a couple of weeks later, I found out she was a very hungry baby. So a couple of days later, days later, we did buy back a pack of dummies, and she did start going a bit longer between feeds, because you can't overfeed them. She did start going a bit longer between feeds, which really I should have. Looking next time, I will be buying dummies to see if that helps. But yeah, I think that's probably a very long-winded video. But yeah, that is everything that I could think of that went through with my labour and delivery. If you've got any questions, then please feel free to ask and leave me a comment, message me, whatever, I don't mind. And I'll you know what, I'm quite an honest person, so I'll answer each question honestly, as honest as I can. So yeah, so if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're still with me, that is, because I know this one's going to be a long one. I'm going to have to do a lot of editing. Yeah, so please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. It is completely free and it just notifies you when I upload videos, which I do pretty much all the time now. Yeah, so feel free to check out my other ones as well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!